Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah, send me one too.
Okay. Yeah, I am. Skip back there. Is it? I'll make sure we're good. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll begin with a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Domingo, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Barnes. Reed. Brown.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
French.
Here.
And Mayor Brown.
Here. This moment on the agenda is reserved for comments for outgoing council members, and then also if there are any tributes from our colleagues on the council. I've asked the council members who wanted to have comments, and I know 3 of us want to have comments. So I'm going to allow, in this order, Councilmember Lawler, Councilmember French, and then I will have final comments.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I would just like to say welcome to the council meeting tonight. The room is packed, and I'm excited to see everyone. First of all, I want to say to Andy French, thank you for encouraging me to stand for what I believe in and still continue to always be my friend. I can share a story about I was in the hospital one time, and I came to council meeting that day that I had gotten out, and I was under so much medication that I just couldn't get my paperwork together, and I was getting frustrated, and Mr. French got my paperwork together for me, and we just went page by page, and that was very sentimental to me. So I thank you for that, Andy. You're very welcome. Second, Mayor Garrett Q. Brown. Thank you for always allowing me to share my concerns, helping me with my information that I needed when trying to do different projects for my precinct. People ask me, what has the mayor done in 2 years? And my reply to them was fighting for his character and won every strike against him. Even though people didn't see what you were doing and probably still don't see what you were doing, but it became too late when they finally realized what you were doing. So that's kind of heartfelt. But although I'm the one who is without a master's, without a bachelor's, without an associate degree, and just only a certification, you gave me the words that brought me strength to conquer my duties, and I thank you. As you leave today, remember, you have made history at 30 years old. So hold your head high. In the words of Anita Baker, which is something that we joke about all the time, because I tell him he need to go to a Anita Baker concert and just relax. That's one of his favorite solos, but I do want to share, and you will probably know what I would say, but she says in one of her songs, "Ain't no need to worry what tonight is gonna bring, 'cause it'll be all over in the morning." So you will always be my mayor, with real roots, real experience, and wanting an Albion for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Brown.
Thank you. No comments. I'd like to, just one change to Councilmember Spicer, would like to have comments, and then we'll go to Councilmember French.
Thank you. To my fellow counselor, Andy French, I love that you love Albion and your commitment to help make it a better city. I thank you for showing us by your time, your commitment, and your expertise to this council. And also, I won't forget to thank you for sharing the vistas with us. I wish you nothing but the best as you set out to other endeavors. And I know your wife is going to be a happier woman. She gets to see you a lot more. Thank you for your service and best wishes.
Thank you. Councilmember French.
Well, I just wanted to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize.
Thank you. Mayor Brown, I've watched you grow from a lad into the intelligent, competent, and capable young man that you are today, our mayor. I want you to know that I am very proud of you and all that you've accomplished. Never let it be said that older generations cannot learn from the younger people, because I've certainly learned a lot from you and your leadership. As mayor, advising me to study the issue, be informed, make a decision, and stand by it. And at times, to laugh at myself and not be so serious. This city is better situated because of you. I hope you will continue to be an asset to this community, helping to make it a better place for all our residents. I will miss you, wishing you nothing less than the best and much success in all your future endeavors. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Councilmember French.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize, Jeanette, for interrupting you. I made my concluding statements before, but I just wanted to say thank you to the folks sitting at this U-shaped table. Each of you has brought a unique perspective to the leadership of this city. Each of you has taken this job extremely seriously, with passion, enthusiasm, and with hard work. We made some difficult decisions. I hope that in my time with you, you have grown to understand my enthusiasm, that you will forgive me of my overindulgence and overenthusiasm over the years. But do know this, I hold Albion near and dear to my heart. I look forward to moving in the realm as citizen of Albion, which is what I started out doing 22 years ago. And I look forward to spending an awful lot more time with family and friends. And I could not end my comments without thanking my dear wife, Lisa, who's in the audience today. Lisa, you have supported me through everything that we have done together, that I have done here in the city. Without your support, without your love, without your understanding and ability and willingness to put up with me during these 8 years and for the last 28 years. I thank you for that. And I look forward to spending more time with you.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you. I'm going to have some just concluding remarks. So, I've been fortunate to, for the past 2 years, to have the best seat in the room. I have it reserved here, but normally it's the hot seat. But I want to just do a couple of thank yous and just have some comments. I want to thank the Lord for His blessings to me. I would like to thank my family, my mom, Ernest, Gavin, my grandmother, aunts and uncles, Ashley Ridley, for everything that she's done to support me, for Sonia, our Mayor Pro Tem, The good book says there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother, and you've definitely been a sister to me, and I appreciate it. Council members Lawler and Spicer, thank you for your willingness to serve and to be quick learners. This is your first term, and I know that you all have really made sure that you have thrown yourselves into the role and really shown a commitment to constituents, and I wish you all the best, and I want to thank you. I want to thank Councilmembers French and Councilmember Reed for your commitment to serving the citizens. These are tough positions to be in, and you know, we never make everyone happy when you're in public service. I also want to finally just thank the community for entrusting me with the honor and responsibility of being the Chief Executive Officer of our city, and then also allowing me to serve Precinct 3 for 6 years. I really appreciate it. I'm going to start reading from my written comments here. Albion is in the middle of a transformation in our community. The challenge is growing our city without leaving behind the people and values that have made Albion unique and successful. The fact that Albion provided a stable place to live and work for many families is a powerful incentive to provide that same opportunity to future generations. Nowhere is that promise of Albion's future more apparent than in the redevelopment of our downtown area. A restored Bohm Theater, a new hotel, a terrific brewery, and soon a bakery and deli will be located downtown. This is a far cry from 2002 and 2008. In 2002, we lost hundreds of jobs when our last foundry closed. We lost our local hospital and our largest retail stores, a Kmart. 6 years later, the Great Recession destroyed property values and increased neighborhood blight. The fact that Albion is still standing is a testament to the grit of business owners and residents who decided to weather the economic storms and stay in Albion. And now that the storms appear to be fading, the question is, how do we rebuild our community in a way that does not hinder the efforts by Albion College or private donors and investors to revitalize downtown, but also at the same time make sure that the basic needs of ordinary working families and retirees are not ignored. This is the defining challenge facing the leadership of our community: equitable growth. Facing this challenge requires understanding that everyone does not experience life in Albion the same way. For example, a young single parent, a retired teacher, a college employee, each have a perspective that must be considered as the mayor and city council sets goals and priorities. From extensive community engagement, it's clear to me that residents want jobs. They want more housing options. They want more access to food options. They want access to child care, dry cleaners, fitness, recreation centers, just to name a few. Addressing these needs cannot be a simple afterthought or an add-on after attention has been given to redeveloping downtown. This is a both-and situation. The task is to make sure that Albion's emerging prosperity reaches all corners of our city and not just those wealthy or well-connected enough to experience it. In short, our motivation should be making sure that all the voices are heard and people are included in Albion's coming success. I'm glad to have been a part of the success so far, voting in support of major projects and grants. I have been a fierce and vocal advocate for the least of these and people who want a fair shot through hard work and initiative. As I close, and I'm going off script here, I want to again thank the community that I'm from. This is my hometown. I'm a 31-year resident of Albion, graduated from Albion Public Schools. This community sent me to Princeton, and really I'm just pleased that I've been able to get back to my hometown, 8 years of really dedicated community service. I wish the residents well. I thank you for this opportunity, and my best wishes go forth with all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Okay. I will ask for a motion to approve the consent calendar. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? We have approved the consent calendar. Now I will ask for a motion, we'll do this in a roll call vote, to adjournment, sine die, D, excuse me. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. We're going to do a roll call vote. Clerk Domingo. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Barnes. Reed.
Yes.
Brown. Lawler.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
French.
Yes.
And Mayor Brown.
Yes, the council is adjourned sine die. Thank you. I'm going to come in. No, I don't think so. Oh, never mind. Yeah, cool.
So we'll start off with the mayor. So if you raise your right hand, I, David Etchison, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, and that I will, to the best of my ability, faithfully and impartially, discharge the duties of City of Albion Mayor. So help me God. Oh, I just need to grab those. So if you'll raise your right hand, I, Lynn Reed, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, and that I will, to the best of my ability, faithfully and impartially, discharge the duties of the City of Albion, Council Member Precinct 2. So help me God. Last but not least, raise your right hand. I, Shane Williamson,
I, Shane Williamson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my
to
ability,
the best of my ability,
faithfully and impartially,
faithfully and impartially,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of City of Albion,
of City of Albion,
Council Member Precinct 6.
Council Member Precinct 6.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I call this council meeting to order. Will the clerk, Domingo, please read the roll?
Councilmember Reed. Here. Brown.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
And Mayor Atchison.
Here. So the first order of business is on tonight's agenda. But before we get to that, I'll ask City Attorney Harkness to clarify one procedural matter, issue that's facing our council tonight, because we only have 6 seated council members, and it is conceivable that we'll have something to vote on that we won't be able to reach consensus on tonight. So if you would please explain what is the procedural solution for that, or what happens.
So, per our charter, the council needs to select a mayor pro tem. My advice would be tonight. Obviously, the council's aware that in the event of a vacancy or the event of an absence from the council, the pro tem acts in the place of the mayor. I think everyone that's been on council a while has experienced it. Usually, in that context, is starting a meeting, and usually the mayor ends up walking in about 10 minutes after, something like that. But we need to select the pro tem within 7 days of the meeting today. So I'm sure nobody wants to come back for a special meeting 7 days from now. And so I would encourage the council to, whichever way you go, try to come to a consensus tonight, the consensus being 4 votes. Because if we can't agree on that, we're looking at a charter violation. So.
Thank you. Okay, so the first order of business is the election of the mayor pro tem. Okay. So is there a motion for the mayor pro tem? Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I nominate Councilmember Sonia Brown.
Okay. Is there a second?
Support.
Okay. Is there discussion? Councilman Lawler.
I'm over here.
I'm sorry, my apologies.
Thank you, Mayor. I would recommend that Councilwoman Brown be Mayor pro tem because she was previously the Mayor pro tem. She is also a member of the council's rules subcommittee, and thus having extensive knowledge of the council rules, as well as I've observed her having extensive knowledge of the parliamentary procedures, as well as Robert's rule, and I would support Councilwoman Brown for Mayor pro tem.
Is there further discussion? Councilmember?
Is the floor open for further nominations?
No, we're going to have to vote on this nomination first. Seeing no further discussion, okay, if the clerk will read the roll and we'll vote yea in favor of Councilmember Brown to be Mayor pro tem, and vote no if opposed.
Councilmember Reed.
No.
Brown.
Yes.
Lawler.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
Williamson.
No.
And Mayor Atchison.
No. So the motion did not pass, so we'll open the floor back up for nominations. Councilmember Williamson.
I'd like to nominate Len Reed, Councilwoman Reed from Precinct 2.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Councilmember Williamson.
I think that Councilwoman Reed would be a fabulous choice to serve in this capacity. I also think that Councilwoman Brown did a fabulous job these last 2 years. Coming on board to the council, I think that Councilwoman Reed has plenty of experience with the rules, the way the council works. It would be nice to give the opportunity to another highly qualified woman on the council. So I rest my case.
Is there further discussion? Well, I'll close with my comments, which is it would be hard to find somebody who's served on the council. In fact, Councilmember Reed is the longest-serving council member, well-respected by our colleagues and the citizens. So with that, if the Clerk Domingo, if you would read the roll, and those in favor vote yes, and those opposed vote no.
Councilmember Brown,
No.
Lawler,
No.
Spicer,
No.
Williamson,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. So we failed to pass that motion, so we'll open the floor up for other nominations. Seeing no further nominations, we have not elected a mayor pro tem. We'll move on to the rest of the business of the evening. Okay. Presentations. Okay, mayor and council member proclamations. Okay. All right. So if I can have Mayor Garrett Brown. City of Albion proclamation honoring Garrett Brown, Mayor. Whereas the City of Albion acknowledges the many contributions of Garrett Brown, Mayor of the City of Albion, beginning December 5th, 2016, and serving until December 3rd, 2018. And whereas Garrett was appointed 3rd Precinct Council Member in October of 2010 and was elected by the citizens of Albion in 2012 and served in this capacity until elected mayor in December 2016. And whereas Garrett is a lifelong resident of the City of Albion, serving on various board and committees, and whereas Garrett Brown's service as mayor was distinguished by his diligence to governance, protocol, and training for council and the city boards and commissions, and whereas Garrett has been dedicated to championing numerous city and community-wide organizations, for example, generously donating from his pocket to support youth programs such as travel to Albion's French sister city, Louise-le-Roy Bailey, and I apologize for messing that name up. And whereas on behalf of the citizens of Albion, we express our gratitude and appreciation for Garrett Brown's years of exceptional service, leadership, and service to the community. Now, therefore, Mayor David Atchison, joined by the members of Albion City Council, do hereby applaud the leadership of Garrett Brown and his many contributions and distinguished service to the City Council of Albion. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of this city to be affixed. Signed, Mayor Dave Atchison. City of Albion proclamation from Andrew French, Council Member, 6th Precinct. Whereas the City of Albion acknowledges the contributions of Andrew French, council member representing 6th Precinct, elected on November 2nd, 2010, and serving until December 3rd, 2018. And whereas Andy has given 8 years of service on the Albion City Council and has been a mentor to incoming council members. And whereas Andy was the leader with the AmeriCorps Vista team that provided assistance to city staff. And whereas Andy was a liaison between Albion College and the City of Albion to help build partnerships and provided assistance with college interns. And whereas served as a key player in developing the Build Albion Fellows program between the City of Albion and Albion College. And whereas, although Andy had many responsibilities, he was always willing to take the time to work with residents of the City of Albion. And whereas, on behalf of the citizens of Albion, we express our immense gratitude and appreciation for Andrew French's years of leadership and service to the community. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Dave Atchison, joined by the members of the Albion City Council, do hereby applaud the leadership of Andrew French and his many contributions and distinguished service to the City of Albion. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed. next item on the agenda is the,
Mayor, before you, can I just take a, members of the council, before you proceed on the agenda, I would just really reiterate tonight that, I would really stress that you revisit the issue of the pro tem position. Like I said, if the pro tem is not appointed within 7 days of tonight, it's a charter violation for the entire council. We've never, to the best of my knowledge, we've never had this particular issue before. Regardless of who you appoint, the council should appoint somebody. Otherwise, we're going to be back here for a special meeting between now and Monday, and I fear you run into the same problem whether we do it tonight or a week from now. So I would really encourage you to readdress that matter tonight and try to work towards appointing a pro tem and avoid a charter violation.
Can someone make a motion to reopen the nominations? Because I'll do that.
Councilmember Williamson.
Yes. Point of order, we've gone on in the agenda. I don't even think at this point we can amend it with a 5 vote. So,
Okay. So City Attorney Harkins, what are our options?
You've closed and gone on to the presentations. So I think if you motion to reopen the nominations, my suggestion would be to place it at the end of the agenda, possibly at the item under at the end of your items for individual discussion.
So we do have the option of opening this up for nominations, or we don't.
You just proceeded on the agenda. I think you can revisit it. It's not as if you voted to close it or to table it or anything like that. So I would proceed on your current agenda, but if you have a majority vote of council to reopen it or place it, reopen it, but place it under items for individual discussion, I think you'd be okay.
Okay. Okay, so we'll readdress it when we get to that.
So do we need to vote now to?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do that. We move to place this for reconsideration at the end of the items for consideration, and then we have to vote to keep it there, right?
I think the appropriate motion would be to reopen discussion on the nominations of the mayor pro tem position and place it at the end of your items for individual discussion as item D.
Do we have a motion to reopen discussion at the end?
So moved.
With the seconded.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We will do that at the end.
so
You just need to do a roll. You can just do a voice vote on that.
So,
we can't discuss, correct? That's right behind.
Yes.
Okay, so
Councilmember Brown.
thank you. I respect your opinion, Attorney Harvey. I just want to be clear that I'm understanding what you're recommending. Is this an amendment to the current agenda that you're asking us to do in order to reconsider? And don't we have something in our council rules about reconsideration?
Well, the council rules haven't been adopted
Okay,
yet.
okay.
So what I'm saying is you just reopen discussion on it, but since you've moved on, my suggestion would be to take it up again after you've gotten through your items for individual discussion.
And is that for discussion and action?
Yes.
Okay.
So we will move to public hearing on the budget.
We haven't voted.
You have to vote on the
Thank you.
motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Been moved and seconded. We will read the roll.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. It's been moved and seconded. We will take it up again for discussion and another vote at the end. So now we will move forward with the public hearing on the budget, fiscal year 2019 budget.
So Mayor, the procedure on that is that you would open the public hearing, ask if there are any public comments on that, and then take, after the public comments on the budget are concluded, comments from the council, and then close the hearing.
Okay, so, all right. So it is now for public comments. If you have public comments, please come forward, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes. And
This is on the budget.
on the
only.
budget. Thank you.
Okay.
Seeing no public comments? Ah.
My name is Barbara Powell. I'm in Precinct 2. My council person is Mrs. Reed. Barbara Powell, Precinct 2, councilperson Lynn Reed. 116 West Pine Street, Albion, Michigan. Okay, came up because I'd just like to commend Mayor Brown and Andrew French for their service on,
Thank you, ma'am, but the public comments are just public hearing on the budget. Do you have comments on the budget?
oh, no.
You'll have an opportunity here in just a minute.
Oh, at the end for this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry.
Are there any other public comments on the budget?
Jim Stewart, 205 West Oak. I'm in Councilman Brown's precinct. And I just wanted to say thanks. I got to be here for the discussion on the budget, and I want to say that city did a great job putting everything together, and it seems like the council kind of knew what was going on. I was really impressed. So thanks for all the work that all of you did on the budget.
Are there further public comments on the budget? Okay. If not, we'll move to the consent calendar, is that
Nope.
correct?
Mayor and
Public
council
comment.
comments on the budget. Before you close the public hearing, or wait. Oh, yeah, you close the hearing, and then council and mayor comments on the budget.
Okay. So we'll close the public comments on the budget, and we'll have council members and mayor's comments on the budget. Any comments by the council members? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. I just want to commend our staff and our city manager on doing an awesome job laying out the budget. It was easy to understand. You did an excellent job, and you had a lot of patience. So I thank you. Appreciate the hard work. Thank you.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to echo Councilwoman Brown's comment. I certainly appreciate Director Tom Mead and his putting the budget together. He does it in a way that is not simple to understand, but we can follow and make sense of it. After being 2 years, I think I finally get it. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank the city manager for working together, putting your heads together, as well as the other directors of the department. As our city manager has often said, it is a team effort, and I can clearly see it working, and I want to thank you all.
Any other comments by council members? So my comments are that I did sit through the budget review. I do have some questions. It's just almost everything that I have questions are just so I have an opportunity to ask some questions, have a better understanding. And I'll ask you to set that up with the budget director, and we'll talk about that in our weekly meeting tomorrow. Yeah, no, on Wednesday. Not tomorrow.
Those meetings are not set, and we have meetings scheduled this week. So Mayor, I would ask that you email me dates and times of your availability, and I will be more than willing to schedule the time for you to meet with myself and staff to go over those budget points.
We'll talk then, up at an appropriate time. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. For the sake of transparency, I would like to, as well as, I would like those questions presented to council for us to know what they were, along with the answers as well, so maybe we can do that at our next meeting.
We'll see how it goes. I have no issue with you knowing what questions I ask and what the answers are at all.
Thank you. I
Oh, you're welcome.
appreciate
No
that,
problem.
because we're talking budget, and you may have something that I hadn't thought about asking, so I would like to be as transparent as possible moving forward.
I do support transparency. Okay, so move on to the next, which is the public comments on agenda items, correct? Okay, so if there are public comments on the agenda items, please come forward, state your name and address. Okay, seeing no public comments on the agenda item, we'll move into the consent calendar. I don't believe there is anything on the consent calendar. Okay, so items for individual discussion. First item is request approval of the second reading and adoption of the amended council rules and procedures. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Support.
Thank you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Councilmember Reed.
I've got one request to make, and that's, I'd like to see the city manager's report move to from the end up to the beginning of the meeting, because I think it would be better and it would help us know the things that are important and that's happening at the city. And if it's always at the end, we usually just kind of miss out on that. So if we could have that moved up to the beginning of the agenda instead of the end of the agenda.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. So working on that committee, I would like to share the thought process behind moving the city manager comments to the end of the meeting was in case residents had comments, we would have a chance as council and the city manager to address those things since we can't engage with them in a conversation during that time. Anything that's on the agenda that the city manager needs to put into, she has an opportunity to do that as we address those things on the agenda. So just putting it out there, the thought process behind that, and that committee composed of, it was Mayor Brown and Councilmember French and I, was to allow the city manager, if need be, to address any concerns that the citizens brought forward for the second set of citizen comment.
But we never did.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Spicer.
I think you will help Councilwoman Brown stated exactly what I was going to say. So, thank you.
I'd just like to say, at the end of the agenda, though, we never answer anybody's questions. So therefore, it's just passed
Councilmember
over.
speak. Okay. Either of you have comments? Councilmember Williamson?
I'm happy to adopt the rules as they are written, and I would like to say, just for the record, as we are moving through this very uncomfortable meeting at the moment, at some point, this council is going to have to work together, and there is going to have to be some give and take on both or many perceived sides of any issue. So I would like to kind of implore my fellow council members, I know I'm the newest person here, but I think this fighting over the rules might be a little bit ridiculous, and friendly amendments would be, I think friendly changes to these should be considered. I just wanted to say during this discussion that it already feels 10 minutes into this meeting that we're sitting in a 3-3 block on many things. And I'm open to supporting things and crossing the weird aisle that has been built these last 2 years. And I hope that others will too. So I just encourage my fellow council members to really try to strike a friendlier tone with your council members and with what we're doing here at the city.
Okay. don't think we're having a fight. I think there was a motion made. I think there's reasonable discussion. I too would agree with moving it up to the beginning so that we have an actual written city manager report as part of the official package, so that the council members and the public can review it prior to the meeting when the package comes out, and can come prepared with questions, and that the citizens that show up and wish to make public comment on the city manager's report have the opportunity to read it beforehand and then comment on the report if they have questions, concerns, etc. And that would be the benefit and the advantage of moving it up to the front, so that we would be able to prepare adequately in advance of the meeting and come with questions, both the council members and members of the public. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to hear from the city manager with regard to her preference in this regard.
City Manager Rufus.
I would prefer to leave it at the end due to the fact that I assist in putting the agenda together. All of the items that are on the agenda come from myself and or the department heads, and throughout the meeting, I discuss each one of these items and along with the department heads. Sometimes there may not need to be a written city manager's report because all of the things that we're working on are already in the agenda. If there are additional things that I need to address, I will do so at the meeting. So I would prefer to keep it exactly where it is. Thank you, Councilwoman Spicer, for your question.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Reed.
I understand that, but I still go back and I say that when we get to the end of a meeting, people are not addressed. Things get out of hand. And I just really, even myself, a lot of times when it's at the end, very seldom do we hear anything from the city manager that leads, that's about what's happening at the city or through the week, and it would be if we could have something in writing then, something to go back to or to look at. I guess that's because I'm used to that from Dr. Mitchell. She always made sure that she had something that we could refer to, so when we're talking to people in the community and they're asking about different things, then it helps you to go back and remember what it is that was said and know what to do about it.
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed, we are at a transition now at the city. And I would like to humbly ask that this be the final day I be compared to Dr. Mitchell.
Please refrain from applause.
I'm not
Point of
being
order, City Manager Rufus.
disrespectful. All I'm asking.
This Rufus.
Yes, sir, Mayor.
Okay. So we're not going to have a back and forth. We're not going to have a back and forth.
Point of
We're not going to
order.
have personal attacks. We're not going to be calling people out by
Point of
name.
order.
Okay? So let's move forward.
Mayor, I did not call anyone out by name. I just requested that I not be put on the spot by anyone in this council. Because with all due respect, you can like Dr. Brown and like Ms. Rufus too. We just do things differently. And I have never disrespected Dr. Mitchell as I've come here in this position. But I have been disrespected by not being Dr. Mitchell. All I'm asking for
Ms.
is
Rufus,
uniform.
Ms. Rufus, that is enough. That's enough.
Excuse me?
I said that's enough.
I would like to
Yes,
ask you
Councilmember Williamson.
disrespectful.
Councilmember Williamson.
I was just making a point of order that this is getting a little out of control. Mayor, could we please get control back in the room?
All right, so it has been moved, it's been seconded, we've had debate and discussion. If City Clerk would please call the roll.
Point of order.
We
Discussion.
move to a vote.
You have to make a motion, sir, to do that. With all due respect, you have to make a motion in order to call the question. That hasn't happened. We're still in
Okay,
discussion.
but I believe you've spoken at least twice.
And I'm allowed to.
Okay, and the other council members have had their say. Okay? The other council members have had their say. What would you like to say, Councilmember Brown?
I would like to say that, Ms. Rufus, I apologize for what just occurred. You are entitled to speak. You have a voice, and you should be allowed to respectfully ask anything of any of us publicly. So I do apologize for that, me personally.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now what are we going to vote?
What are we voting on?
This is, the motion is to approve the council rules as written. There was no motion to amend them, so the motion before the council is, there was motion and seconded to approve the council rules.
So it has been moved, it has been seconded to adopt the council rules to approve them. If the city clerk will please call the roll.
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. So it's been moved, it's been passed, the council rules have been adopted. Okay. Next item on the agenda is to set a study session date to discuss rental certification. Okay. Any discussion, comments by the council members? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. I have a question. Has the subcommittee been able to meet with the, oh, this is setting up the subcommittee
Yes.
discussion?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know where that's coming from.
John Tracy, Director of Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement. Yes, this is for the subcommittee to set a date to meet. We have a couple of dates, if they would work for the subcommittee and the staff. One would be at 1 p.m. on the 13th of December. The other would be on the 21st of December at 1 o'clock. Would either of those dates work?
What day?
The 21st is a Friday, and the 13th of December is a Thursday.
13.
13th.
I would be available on the 13th.
Either day is okay with me.
I'm not available on the 13th. On the 21st, I'm available, but not at 1 p.m.
Are there any other days that might
Can you
work?
change the time on the 13th? Is it possible to do it at 2?
I believe so.
On the
Maybe
13th
o'clock?
or the 21st?
13th.
The 13th, I could do it at 2. Ms. Councilwoman Reed?
That's fine.
The 13th at 2.
That works for everyone then? Okay, 13th at 2 p.m.
Okay. City Manager Rufus, please let the
Here.
Landlords Association know of the date and time and the location of the meeting.
Mayor, this meeting is just for our subcommittee of the council members, not for the landlords. And once they've had the opportunity to read this, there will be a subsequent meeting scheduled for this subcommittee to meet with the landlords. The reason it's on the agenda is so that the councilman can have a time that is scheduled that meets their particular time, so we can discuss the ordinance that is probably going to be put forward, this committee, for the council. In addition, after that meeting, there will be a date for the landlords.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to ensure the landlord association that all the consideration that was discussed at the meetings that we were at, the subcommittee will take it back and discuss it with City Manager Rufus. So don't feel left out. We will take your information and give it to her.
All right. Next item on the agenda is request approval of $7,500 to WEX bill for gas for city vehicles. City Manager Rufus.
Per charter, I am not to spend, as Mayor Brown said at the last meeting, I am not to sign requisitions that are more than $5,000. Please note that upon me coming into the city manager position, I have instituted what is called a requisition process, which means before any and all bills leave out of City Hall, they come across my desk and I must sign off on them prior to them being paid, because I am responsible to ensure that I am not in violation of this charter. And if we broke this bill down between departments, it would definitely be less than $5,000. However, that's not how the bill comes to the city. It comes to us as one total bill for all the vehicles, all the fleet, that is including public safety and public works. So the current month's bill is $7,537.37. I'm not sure how this was done prior to me being here, but I do know that last month's bill was $6,900. The last bill was $6,900, and I want to make sure that I am following the charter as it's been given to me.
Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. So this gas bill is gas for the car, or?
Yes, gasoline for the car. Yes, ma'am.
So have we had that much activity to have a $7,500 bill?
I have had a staff meeting, and I discussed this. Mainly, this is including the fact that we have public safety that is running 24 hours. We do have some vehicles that run on diesel, and also for the public works departments as well. So that's with grass cutting, with mowing, shoveling, cleaning. This is a combination of all of the departments across the board.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ms. Rufus, and looking back over the previous months, has the bill been running roughly around this amount?
Yes, and in the summer months, it's more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. So what, I think we have to approve this. If not, what is the alternative?
I mean, we would like for our city vehicles to run. We would like for our public safety department to have gasoline to ensure the safety of the individuals in this community. I have discussed this in detail with the staff to ensure that there is no excessive use of the gasoline policy. I have called the individuals in who utilize this particular service that we provide and have asked the department heads to ensure that no one is utilizing this privilege improperly. And they have assured me that that is not being done. However, I will continue to watch this bill to ensure that it's not happening.
Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. So do we have a procedure in place, like when you check out a vehicle for Water Street Recreation or whatever, you check out a vehicle, you put the mileage on it. When you finish, you put the mileage on it again. And as far as turning in receipts, how does that process go?
When you go to get gas, you have to put in your vehicle number, and there's a whole process you have to go through. So when you get the bill, when I get the bill, if you look at the bill, it'll tell you specifically either which vehicle it was, which person it was, or which staff member utilized those services and the mileage on those vehicles. So that information is also included in the bill that has been attached.
Councilmember Lawler.
So are we turning in receipts, and is there, as far as department heads, do they make a copy of these receipts? So if there's any dispute, they have something for themselves? And
But there's really doesn't have to be a dispute, because when we get the bill, it has the person's name attached to it or the vehicle that utilized this particular service. On the first page, as you see the report for October 2018, it says specifically what department used how much gas and how much, which account it came from, and the gallons of gasoline that was used and the total amount. And when you look at the bill overall, most of the gasoline that has been utilized by the city is from public safety and public works. So that includes streets, parks, water, sewer, wastewater, also our public safety and detective bureau. Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Law.
So have we been sweeping and shoveling snow and raking leaves for the bill to be this high?
Well, I will say this, my first day was October 8th. This is the October 2018 bill, and when I saw what the bill was, I brought it to this council for approval. I have had numerous conversations with the staff in regards to this, and you will see what the next bill is as well. I will go through it thoroughly and address those concerns at that time, but this is the first bill that I received since my tenure here, and I will be checking these bills this point forward. And I have instructed the department heads to ensure that there is no waste being done at the moment.
Thank you.
Councilmember Williamson.
I hate nitpicking at bills like gas, but I'll ask the question because I think you've already said it. But this is pretty in line with how it's been. The amount is pretty average or typical
From what
previous bills.
From what I've
Hold up
seen,
here, yeah.
yes. From what I've seen, the answer to that question is yes.
Okay, great.
Last month's bill was about $6,900, and the bill before that was like $7,200. My question is still the same. I need to ensure there's no waste.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a couple questions on page 5. Just curious, the trips to Tennessee, Indiana, Ohio, and Maryland, out of area those are for?
Those were for our dog catcher to go to training on the East Coast, and that was justified through our deputy chief and our chief. I did ask the same question to me.
And there's a policy that no city vehicles are used for personal business, personal travel. Is that true?
The way the policy is written now is that we actually don't have a policy in place per se. Chief has drafted a new policy, and I'll have it before council at the next week.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments by council members? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the bill?
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Approve payment of the bill. Okay.
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Okay. So, future agenda items.
Nope, you're back to D, which is revisiting the sign die procedure.
Thank you very much.
Or the pro tem.
Okay.
The pro tem.
So is there a motion to revisit the election of Mayor Pro Tem?
No, I think, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
So you've already voted to revisit it. The question before you is going to be, are there any other nominations for the pro tem position?
Thank you. Okay. Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. For the revisit, I would again request that Councilwoman Brown be appointed Mayor Pro Tem for the reasons I've stated previously, as well as seeing her in action tonight. I think she knows what she's doing and it's pretty evident. So I again support Councilwoman Brown for Mayor Pro Tem.
It's been moved. Is it seconded?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay. If you would read the roll.
I actually had some discussion, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Williamson.
So, in an effort to live up to what I said earlier during discussion on some other items, I am willing to support Councilmember Brown on her bid to be pro tem. And I'm going to do that in good faith because I have worked with her in the past outside of this body. She does demonstrate that she understands and can keep order in a room, and I will respect that and vote for her. However, it goes against my best judgment with the current climate. I'm going to still support it. I think it's fair. I think we need to move things forward. No one wants to be back here in 7 days to have another meeting about the Senate Mayor Pro Tem where we could possibly run into yet the same situation. So in an effort to work together and reach out and try to make friends with my fellow council members to move the city forward, I'm going to support Councilmember Brown's bid for Mayor Pro Tem.
Any further discussion? City Attorney Harkins, what is the impact? You said we would be in default when violation of the city charter, so what is the impact and the course of action from there?
If a pro tem were not to be selected within tonight or within
And I
7
ask so that we're just informed
Sure.
and aware.
So and I can tell you exactly what the charter says. So the way that the charter reads is the council shall meet and organize on the first Monday in December following each regular city election. At such meeting or within 1 week thereafter, the council shall elect from its membership a mayor pro tempore and do such other acts as may be required for its organization and conduct of business. That's section 5.3, organization of the council. Section 2.5 discusses penalties for violation of the charter. Any person found guilty of an act constituting a violation of the charter may be punished by a fine in addition to court costs charged to him shall not exceed $500 or imprisonment for not more than 90 days or by both such fine and imprisonment in the discretion of the court.
Okay, thank you. So,
The whole council votes.
Yeah.
Whole council goes to jail.
Yeah, we'll run the meeting.
all right. So it's moved and seconded for Councilmember Brown to be elected as the Mayor Pro Tem. If you will call the roll, please.
Councilmember Williamson,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Absolutely, yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Okay. Motion to excuse absent council members. There are none. I apologize. Now we're up to future agenda items.
Point of order.
Yes.
I need to be sworn in. Vice Mayor Pro Tem. No, I'm gonna stand up over here.
Let's I, Sonia Brown,
I, Sonia Brown,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
faithfully and impartially,
faithfully and impartially,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of City of Albion
of City of Albion
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, future agenda items. Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe last meeting that we had, I had asked, we were told that we needed to spend some money on some sidewalks. So I was asking for a bid or a budget of the sidewalks, at least the sidewalks for First, Second, and Third Streets because of the handicap person that is over there.
Councilwoman Lawler, our snow just melted. And so please note that the Public Works Department is going to be doing an assessment of all of the city sidewalks. I do know that there are areas that we are in desperate need of handicap sidewalks to ensure that any of our individuals that does not have the ability to move about properly throughout our city. We want to make sure that all of the sidewalks are accessible to them. And so I will get back to you on that. We have not set a date because we were unsure about the weather, but I do know at this current time we're unable to pour concrete, so we won't be able to get them done in the wintertime.
Right.
But we'll be working on them very early come spring, okay? And I will get this council a budget so that you'll know exactly where we are, what we're spending, and what the assessment was. I will make sure you have all that in writing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to, two things. We, at one point in time, discussed neighborhood planning commissions, and there were a meeting held with a list of attendees, and I think I would like the list to be provided to each council member, as well as how we plan to proceed if the city manager could work with.
Would you like to have that on the agenda? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, if you could.
May I respond?
Yes, you may.
Councilwoman Spicer, I just want you to know that there was a meeting last week between myself and Kelly Williamson and Haley Snyder in regards to setting up precinct meetings. I do know that that was something that the Vistas were doing, and I will probably contact them prior to the end of the week. But I don't know if you remember when I came, I said I will be setting up town hall meetings in each of the precincts to ensure that the individuals are aware of what's going on in town. And so the precincts are being divided up at 3 precincts at a time. At the next meeting, Ms. Williamson should have Officer Williamson should have the dates and the areas, because we're going to start this first thing in January of 2019.
So those are going to be town hall meetings.
There'll be town hall meetings. It's
Right.
the same gist of what the neighborhood committees.
But the neighborhood planning committees were groups of private citizens getting together and talking about their issues, and it was going to be an ongoing thing, which the town hall meetings are great, but the moving forward with the planning committees, there was a resolution that the council signed to put those in place. So we do want to go ahead and do that. I think it's great that you'll have town hall meetings, and that will be part of the process.
Duly noted.
Well, thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. I'm sorry, were you not done?
I said I had 2 points, but
I apologize, I'm gonna confuse it to Councilmember
No.
Spicer and allow her to finish.
Councilmember Spicer.
thank you. And perhaps this may not need to be on a future agenda, because maybe the city manager can answer it right at this point. The signs in the city that are worn, weathered. I know at probably a year or so ago, Director Leonardson was going around and observing, and he even replaced, I don't recall how many he replaced, but there was a report provided to us on the number of signs that were replaced, and I was just wondering if we had any idea what standing signs, what would be next, and the plan and the cost, and any report we could get on that, any information would be welcome.
City Manager Rufus.
I want to assure you that this has also been addressed by our staff. We have been unable to locate the report that was given unto you. But along with the sidewalks, the street signs are also something that needs to be addressed. I have stated that there should have been a citywide consensus of when all the signs were done so that they could have been done together. However, they were not, and so we are trying to get estimates so that we can have more uniformity throughout the city. So I will be getting that information to you by the next meeting.
Thank you, City Manager.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. So I would like to have council consider drafting a video recording policy. I know our meetings are videotaped, but to my knowledge, we don't have a policy governing that. So I don't know if that's something we want to consider doing in a subcommittee or however, but I'm asking that it be placed on a future agenda so the council can discuss and decide how to address a videotaping policy of the meeting. Yeah.
I would like to also state that I have talked with my staff about this, and I'll tell you what our policy is going to be. The policy is going to be that during these council meetings, they all will be videotaped live. Once the mayor hits the gavel and adjourn the meeting, the room, council chambers, will be continually be videotaped until the room is empty, and it will not be live, but we will have footage of it so that there will have videotape of that policy. However, there are some things that we need to address in regards to updating our phone system, updating our assessment to local cable. Chief Kip and myself and a couple other members of our administrative team is actually working on that currently. Chief Kip has been the person who was at the forefront of this initial project prior to discussing a way we will go about videotaping these meetings. So we will have a full report for you at the next meeting as to what's going on, but please note that as of tonight, and I was going to discuss this in my report, but as of tonight, the decision with staff has been to videotape live the entire meeting. Once the meeting is over, this room will be videotaped until the room is completely empty, and that's where we are currently.
Thank you.
Any further agenda items for the future? Okay. We have no absent council members, so we'll move to public comments. This is your opportunity to come forward and state your name and address and make public comments on whatever you wish. Just ask that you remain civil.
My name is Serena Smith, 903 Burr Oak. My color is the council. Good evening, council. There are a number of residents tonight who are concerned about your alleged recent behavior, and I'm asking them to stand up now. I want to express my deep concern regarding the alleged behavior of Mr. Atchison toward a longtime Albion resident, Elfrida Dysart Drake, on last Tuesday, November 27th. Mrs. Drake is a pillar in this community and an active volunteer and a mentor of youth. When Mrs. Drake asked that her personal space be respected, the right thing to do was to move out of her face. At the very least, as a man, disrespecting the wishes of a woman that asks for a space is disturbing. What that man, when the man is our mayor, it is extremely troubling. Mrs. Drake deserves an apology. It is that simple. The mayor is a representative of our entire community, and we expect that his or her behavior will reflect the value of respect, decency, and self-control. As mayor, you will have to deal with people who strongly disagree with you. You have to be the bigger man. You can't get in their face or retaliate. You represent us. Your alleged behavior does not reflect what is best about the city of Albion. Mr. Atchison, I sincerely ask that you apologize to Ms. Drake and to our community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Charmaine Bogan. My address is 1006 Fairlane Drive here in Albion, 6th Precinct. Mrs. Drake has lived in this community in Albion for 53 years. You've been here 3 years. I know Alfreda and I know her character, and I also know that she felt threatened by your behavior, and I believe her. We believe the witnesses who saw you stand still after she asked you to move out of her personal space. As a woman, that could be very intimidating. We know you have served our county, and you know how important the ideal of honor is, and I'd like to thank that. Part of honor is admitting that you made a mistake and try to make it right. Mayor Atchison, many in this community join with me in asking that you apologize for how you treated her. You are now our mayor, and I accept that. And we are expecting you to be a leader and do the right thing. If you choose not to, you are saying it's okay to violate the space of a woman and not take responsibility for that. In the atmosphere, the present atmosphere of the We Too movement, I truly believe that the right thing to do, and I want to support you, but the right thing to do would be to apologize if you're wrong. I mean, I'd ask that of anyone, woman or man. If I was in someone's face and I violated their space and they told me that, and I would have to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Forgive me. So that's all I'm asking, is that you do the honorable thing and apologize to her. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Leslie Dick. I am at 700 East Michigan Avenue. I'm represented by very ably by Marcola Lawler. I just want to state that tonight I am here in support of the concerned women who've spoken before me. And in addition, I want to express my gratitude toward the members of the retiring administration who have worked to maintain dignity and decorum in our council chambers by their restraint and labors in helping create a code of conduct and ethics for their successors. All the members of this council are better representatives in the process, and they will work, and their work will inform those who follow them. We have been through a very trying period in our city governance. I want to thank those who have shown respect for their colleagues and constituents, and to thank those citizens and council members who have refrained from histrionics and attacks on and by members of the council. I appreciate civility from citizens addressing the council from the public podium. Outbursts, as we have witnessed recently, have no place in these chambers, from the officials or from the audience. My final concern has been addressed very swiftly from a letter that I wrote to my council person and copied to the city manager. I have formally requested a full video and improved video and audio coverage of the entire council room at our meetings, from the first gavel until the council chambers are vacated at the conclusion of meetings, to better document and to archive our proceedings. Outbursts and intimidation, as we have experienced in the past meetings, should not continue. Thank you.
My name is Lonnie Brewer, 1200 Hillside Road. I'm here to talk about the division. We already know black people and people of color get treated differently when it comes to positions, business, and everything like this. My problem with this, my twin, he didn't come in because he owed back tax, so I'm going to give you a little thing about that. He did not know that you have to owe your taxes all in full before you run. Nobody can tell him that. Once he found that out, it was too late. But at the same time, this is where we at now. He almost got everything taken care of, and once he get done, he will serve his seat. So we're almost there. So with saying all of that, I want everybody to understand like this. Once he get in office, he want to make a difference. He want to bring everybody together and bring this gap, finally close it. Because right now, we don't get treated fairly. We know that. Because they went out and showed his taxes, but didn't show the other person's taxes. They put it all on the media that he owed taxes, but they didn't show the other gentleman that he owed taxes too. Now, y'all think that's fair? And it came from City Hall. It didn't come from the street. It came from the City Hall. So you're going to disrespect that man. Then you're going to disrespect the lady on the next day. It's sad how black get treated. Now, you going to tell me about a fair system? How can I get fair justice when you see it right in front of your eyes? There's no justice. So this is reason why we got to change the board up. This is why we got to change the leaders on this board up. We need justice. We need fairness. Justice. I say this all the time. And you can talk about me all you want, but I tell you what, I work hard for mine, my family work hard for theirs, and my brother Will sat in that seat. 919 North Clinton Street. Check this out. I am the new precinct one. I just want y'all to know that. I'm going to make that, and it's going to happen. But the only thing I got to say, I said I'm going to stay home, but you know what? I don't run for nobody. I want the world to know I am here, and I'm here to stay. And I want to look in the eyes of everybody that's against me. And but the thing is, that ain't important. What's important is doing things what's better for the city. That's all I want to see, what's better for the city. And I want to see our kids have something to do. That's what I'm doing. Everybody's like, why are you doing it? Because for double vision to do? Yes, I am. Because me and my twin been looking in the window. Now I'm going to get a seat right in this house that I can change and make laws that we can get our kids off the street. Because when they get out of school, guess what they doing? Getting in trouble because we don't want to give them nothing to do because we say, oh, these kids going to do it to get in trouble. But guess what? If you don't give them nothing to do, that's what they going to do. So don't get looking stupid and crazy when them kids going to turn around and not going to do the right thing when you know it, what you're doing. And with that said, I thank y'all, and I'm here. I ain't went nowhere. And to my wife, I love you. My mother-in-law. Hey, peace of love. All right.
Elevated Weeks, 917 Luther Drive.
I can't even hear.
Well, that's not my fault.
Restart the clock
That's
if you can't hear
this fault. First of all, I want to say there was a difference in the taxes. Williamson had paid his taxes. The other one had not been paid. If you check with City Hall, you will know that. So that's the difference there, why one was, maybe, I don't know, why one was called out and one wasn't. But one's taxes were paid and the other one was not. Now, back to this last meeting. Dave and I were sitting one seat behind Elfrida when the council meeting was over. I was putting my coat on. Dave left our seat. I could have reached out and touched the woman. I was there. I don't know how many of you people were there. I'm sorry. I don't know how many of you were here.
Okay.
You weren't.
Miss Weeks, just direct your comments here, please.
Okay, I take that back, you people. I just say that all the time. I'm sorry.
All right.
So, going on. I was sitting right behind Elfrida. Dave left his seat. I see Dave is starting to walk out. Elfrida is saying something to him. He wasn't speaking. As he gets to her, he stops, turns to face her so he can hear what she is saying. As she said to him, just wait until you get up there on that seat. You'll know what it's like. Dave responded in a calm voice, Yes, we will see. That is too bad you feel that way. Elfrida raised her voice and started yelling at him, screaming, "You are invading my space," over and over and over. "Get out of my space," repeatedly. Dave replied to her, "I'm not in your space," calmly. Then she kept shouting, "Get out of my face." She changed it. "Get out of my face." This is the truth. I could have reached out and touched the woman. I was that close. If you want to say I wasn't, I was.
21 seconds.
The meeting was over, and Lynn walked up Lynn walked up and she lit into Lynn saying, "You should be ashamed of yourself," because of what she said to Brown during the meeting. She contradicted him. Then,
Okay, thank you, Ms. Weeks.
well, what you're hearing is false. Fake rumor.
But you're in the meeting.
You can't.
What can I
Not until mayor and council member comments at the end.
Harvey Powell, 116 West Pine Street, Albion, Michigan. Councilman Reed is my council person. Okay. First of all, I'd like to commend the ex-mayor and Andy French for all the service that they did on the council while they were serving. And I know it's a tedious job, but somebody has to do it. Then I'd like to welcome the new members on, the new mayor and the new council person on the council, and say to all of you, let's remember what we're here for, okay? We're supposed to be running the city of Albion to improve this city. I was born and raised here. I remember when it was a very prosperous and industrial town, and anyone who wanted a job had a job. And we all worked together and stuff, and hopefully, I hope the new council that you'll be able to work together to improve the living conditions of everyone in Albion. And let's not make this about race, about a political orientation or religion or anything like that. Let's just all try to work together to make Albion the place that everybody would be proud to live in. Thank you.
My name is Lee Wayne Embry. I live on 604 Orchard Drive. I'll make this really quick. I listened to everything that everyone was saying, and it is a lot of division and a lot of racist things going on. I'm not here to be on either side, but it's about equality. The Festival of Forts, I had my boys with me, and we were standing up in front of the bank, right where the alleyway is. I told them, stay put, I'll be back. I had to run behind the building, down where they're serving food. I come back, my youngest son said, "Dad." He said they had people marching up, holding signs, and then this one white gentleman had a sign, and there's something about voting for somebody, or I don't know if it was him or not. He said, I asked that guy if I can get a job. He said, I don't hire blacks. So I said, well, who is it? And I'm trying to find out who this guy was, and they said, oh, he going on. I said, well, we started telling my son how to handle things like that. Later on, as we was departing from the festival, it was getting over, and we was walking down through the middle of the street. He said, Dad, that's him right there. Here he go again, walking that sign. So I walked up to him. I said, excuse me. I said, my son addressed this to me. Do you recognize him? Of course, like, all blacks look the same. That's what they say, and I'm not trying to be racist about that. But he said, well, he started stuttering and everything, and I said, look, this is not just about my son. This is about any young person that's of color. Do not ever disrespect him again. And I'm saying it's not for him, but all that's around me. This is what the world has come to. Disrespect of each other, mainly color. Albion used to be a thriving city, and now it's divided. Most people who kids grown up and moved on, they don't care nothing about our kids that we got coming up. All they care about is the dollar they getting in their pocket. And that's how I see it. I work with, I like to work with Sister Brown, I call her Sister Brown. But we have good discussions talking about this kind of stuff sometimes. It's not about getting behind closed doors, just badgering anybody, but it's about what's right. And sometimes you have to stand up for what's right. I'm a grown man, I face things on my job, and I do know this one thing, and I sit down. You can't be in leadership with a Donald Trump attitude.
Are there any further public comments?
My name is Elizabeth Craig. I live at 802 Austin Avenue. And I was here last week, but I wasn't here at the end. And I think that if you would take a look at the past tapes of the city council and the chaos that was formed in this very room by a councilman, then you would really think about how you would react. And just like when Mrs. Rufus was trying to talk earlier, you were so rude. And to represent the city, if this is what we have to look forward to, we are in trouble. Because we just got rid of that. And you guys represent, this is city. You represent the city. So if you're going to be the mayor, be the mayor. You totally cut her off, wouldn't let her finish talking. That was rude. That was very rude. And for you to be the mayor, you need to just take a look at your actions. Last week you weren't even sworn in, and now you're sworn in, and look how you act. Look how you act tonight. You should take a look at it.
Are there any further public comments? County Commissioner Gary Tompkins.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, City Manager Rufus, City Clerk Domingo, residents of the City of Albion, and the folks watching this evening, good evening. Gary Tompkins, your County Commissioner. I'm going to change gears a little bit tonight. We're going to talk about some positive things that are going on. Absolutely, and there are a lot of positive things going on. I can tell you, a lot of positive things going on. So first and foremost, the Board of Commissioners, the County Board of Commissioners, this Thursday will be voting on our proposed 2019 budget. Our estimated general fund revenues are at about $45.5 million, with expenditures at about $45.06 million, which actually puts us at a positive $45,000 to the good and gets us a fund balance of 11.39%. So very positive. As soon as those further details, and we do officially vote on it, in my newsletter in December, you will see the details of that as we move forward. And then again, I'll just be real brief. My monthly newsletter is available. Most of you folks do get it. Anybody that does not subscribe to it would like to, the email is available. You can certainly subscribe to it that way. Hard copies will be available tomorrow at the Albion District Library. It's a great resource to know what's going on in and around the 7th District. As well as in the newsletter this month that talk about specifically on pages 3, 4, and 5, provide detail for the financial health indicators for not only Calhoun County, but also for the townships in the 7th, as well as the city and the village as well that I represent. Included in the breakdown are factors including taxable value, unfunded pension liabilities, general fund revenues, expenditures, fund balance, and long-term debt. Areas of general fund, pension, property tax, and debt health are actually ranked. And if you'll note, indicating on here actually, from 2016 to 17, Albion had actually had a very positive pension health and also a debt health, if you look at it as comparative to the ranks amongst fellow cities your size. So actually very positive things going on. And then finally, I want to point out to you, in the coming weeks, I'll be rolling out some additional methods to further engage with residents, not only in the 7th District, but also in the City of Albion. This past Saturday, I had my first engagement with a group of residents on Saturday, taking the time. I took about 2 hours, listens to their concerns, their comments, and anything they had relative, whether it was with the City of Albion, whether it was with the county, or at any point at that point in time. I'm just there to listen. And I think that's the opportune word to be said a lot of times. We just need to take that time to listen. So if you have a group or anybody you do know that would like to meet with me, certainly schedule a time. I'd be more than happy to do so. Again, I think that opportunity to actually get out and listen and to engage with the residents is the most positive thing that we can do. If you'd like to, you can either contact me by Facebook, by phone, or by email. Again, my newsletter has my phone and my email on it, so I'm totally open and transparent, so anytime you need to talk to me, you can certainly do that. And then if I don't get a chance to be here on I believe, the 19th is your next meeting, correct? But I probably will be, but I just want to indicate, and I'll end with this, each and every one of you and your families and everybody, the residents of the City of Albion, the people watching this evening, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and spend some time with your family, because that is, in case, the most important thing. So with that being said, all of you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm David Gilbert. I'm your county prosecutor. If you have any questions, I try to get down here at least once a year to see if you have any questions. This is my second time so far this year. I didn't talk to you last time, but I wanted to welcome the new people here. If you have questions, you know where to find me. If I'm in my office, I do answer the phone, and if I'm not there, I will return your calls. So if you have any questions, anything to do with the state of the county, as far as prosecution is concerned, just let me know.
Thank you. Have any further public comments? All right.
Jim Stewart, 205 West Oak. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I want to say that my heart is breaking for this town. I love this town, and I don't like what's going on. And I love many of you, and you know it. And some of you I don't know very well, so in all fairness, I don't know Shane, I don't know Joyce, but I love everybody else. I did it again. Twice today you got it. Well, I'm sorry. But I love you guys, and I love many of you that I know out here. And I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. And all of us,
Jim,
even if they can't lead, we can lead. And we can, and I want you to too, but we can all lead with humility and grace and love for one another. And we can take responsibility for our own actions and quit picking on everybody else. Just let's all be as good as we can be individually, and I think the rest of it will take care of itself. But this is breaking my heart.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Ronnie Sims, 710 West Erie Street. And I just want to second what Jim just said, that we as a community, especially anybody who was raised here in Albion, knew that at one point we were called the melting pot city and all-American city. And so we still have an opportunity to get to that point. And we just have to, calm our spirits and try to pull together and see what we need to do to move forward. I do want to invite everyone to this coming Saturday at 4 o'clock at Macedonian Baptist Church. There will be a ceremony honoring all the veterans. This organization, NNOV, did not have an opportunity to do it during Veterans Day, but it will take place this Saturday, 4 o'clock p.m. If you are a veteran, you are welcome to come so that you can be honored or just enjoy the program and the ceremony. There will be food afterwards. Again, the community is welcome to participate.
Are there any further public comments? Okay. City Manager's report.
Thank you. First, I would like to say that my form of management style is very inclusionary. I have weekly staff meetings, I meet with them, and we discuss all the items on these agendas. We discuss them to ensure that every single staff member has the exact same information. I don't make them come up here and speak to you. I ask them to tell you the things that they tell me. So it's not just the city manager speaking for her staff, it's the staff supporting the things of this city. We are all city employees, and our first point of business is to handle the business of the city. So I may not handle things managerial-wise as other people have done. However, these are the way they're being done now. I am very open and honest with my staff, and we discuss these things every week. If there are things that we need to hammer out, we offer each other any form of assistance. I believe in cross-training. I don't believe one person does one job, because if that person leaves tomorrow, because we never know the day, time, and or hour, somebody needs to be able to replace them. So that is why we have staff meetings to ensure that each and every one of our department heads are abreast of what's going on in each department. In January, we will start our wellness program amongst our cities on the November 17th agenda item. I will be attending training on December 11th with Ms. Snyder and Ms. Domingo in Lansing from MML. Currently, the city of Albion is in the midst of settling a lawsuit between Albion Township and Sheridan Township. And there are some items that we need to address. They are currently being addressed, and there will be a full report at the November 17th meeting. December 17th, I'm sorry, thank you so very much for the correction. Also, as discussed today in our staff meetings, we will be looking at obtaining a grant writer. It will be somebody that will be working specifically to receive administrative fees based off the grants. It will not be monies and or additional monies to this particular body. And so we will be putting out an RFP for that, and I will also have that forthcoming at the next meeting. I apologize that I may not give written reports. However, I prefer to speak exactly what's in my heart, exactly what is happening, and exactly the things that are on this agenda. Having to tell the public that I've attended a community meeting or I attended an event in the community is not really the city's business. It is part of my duties as the city manager to attend meetings to ensure that I provide those organizations with information from this city. I will continue to provide the reports in the manner in which I've been giving them. I will continue to support my staff. I will continue to stand up for them. I will ensure that all of my inspectors and code enforcement officers and planning directors are enforcing the code properly, equally, and fairly across the board. I would never tell them that they do not have the opportunity or they cannot enforce the code because it's improper and it's unethical. And I apologize if that may have happened in the past. It's over. It's not happening again. Every time we have any type of problem and or situation, I address them head on. I go to the department heads and I allow them to talk to me openly and honestly about whatever it is that is happening. I understand that being the new city manager in Albion, yes, I am from a different town, but I've said this time and time again, I'm Team Albion, and that's the team that we need to be on. I'm not on a separate team. I'm not straddling the fence. I don't have anybody's agenda but this city's agenda on my agenda, and that's all the time. I want to ensure that everything that goes on in this office, and transparency, let us define really what transparency really means. Transparency means telling the truth. Transparency means telling exactly what is going on. There are some things that has happened prior to my tenure. And honestly, I am in the process of fixing a lot of those things. And if we want to be transparent, this $7,500 gas bill, that's transparency. So I didn't sign any of those bills. I will not sign any of those bills. The only bill over this $7,500 that I can recall that I have signed is a bill for the $26,000 roof that was previously approved by this council. So I want everybody to know if there's things that I do not know, there's things that I do not understand, I will contact our city attorney to ensure that I have that right information. I may not understand everything that is in our charter. I've been here 2 months, and the level of disrespect is overwhelming. I don't disrespect people. I treat them with respect, but it just has to stop. And all I ask is to be treated like the professional that I am. In every single meeting, at every single one of these council meetings, I come here very humble and open to do the job of the city manager. This is not an easy job. I'm the person that went to school to get the degrees to do this job. I'm the person that this city council, by a 6-1 vote, I might say, allowed me to do this job. Can we please stop this trivial high school infighting and allow us to take care of the business of this city? At this time, I would like to yield the rest of my report to Mr. Williams so he can provide Councilwoman Brown with the recreation millage update that she requested. Thank you.
Thank you. This is to update Council Member Brown request for an update on. Oh, well, you specifically asked.
I did.
That's the reason I said that. That's the council. The recreation millage was approved on August 7th. The millage increased by 0.5%. So our millage is $2 per $1,000 taxable property value, which brings total for 2019, the tax levy year. The first year will be approximately $172,000 to be used specifically for the purpose of continuing operation of the recreation department for young people, adults, families, and senior citizens. A breakdown of that to kind of give you an idea of where some of this money is going. We have building rental, which is $25,000 per year. Senior citizens, the senior center will receive approximately $10,000, and $83,800 will go into salaries, and program expenses will be approximately $20,000. That totals up to approximately $138,000. The increase in program expenses will allow the recreation department to actually hire people who have an expertise in some particular activity, and they will, excuse me, they'll also be able to supervise those activities. Currently, a lot of those activities are supervised by myself, so that will allow me to do some other types of things. In terms of ideals, how we could do some different types of things, we thought about youth dances for middle school and high school age kids. I'd like to bring back youth baseball, especially T-ball and coach's pitch. Flag football leagues with the youth and adults. I would like to do volleyball. There's been discussion of having video game tournaments for high school age kids, scuba diving, dance classes, self-defense classes, Zumba. Like reinstitute our basketball leagues, youth and adult, both during the summers and the winter, and possibly starting kickball leagues, ping pong leagues, and floor hockey leagues. So those are some of the things that we've talked about in the department, and that would be kind of in addition to some of the programs that we continuously offer year-round.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, thank you for your report, and thank you for sharing a list of the activities that you all are talking about implementing through the Recreation Department. So basically, what I'm trying to just get an understanding of is during the budget session, we learned that the millage is going to increase the revenue for the Rec Department approximately $36,000, just roughly. 25,000 of that was going to rent the space at the high school building, because up until this year, I think the Cronin Foundation had been kicking that money in. So $25,000 of that is going to go for the rental, which leaves like about $11,000. What specifically I was asking for is what additional youth programming will be available in 2019 as a result of that millage. So that's what I was.
And I guess the list of those programs that I gave you, that would have to be what I would answer your question with. To correct you, the Cronin Foundation only provided funding for 1 year. Summer of 2017 through the summer of 2018.
Okay. But this is the first year that we've had to spend that money, $25,000, or is that incorrect? Isn't this the first year that the city has had to pay that $25,000 rental fee?
In 2019.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the list that you read, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me, the Marshall Public Schools has been very generous to us, because we've actually been in that building for 4 years. The only rent that we paid in 4 years was the $20,000 that came from the Cronin Foundation. So they have allowed us to use the facilities basically free of charge. So the $25,000, which will come up in 2019, will be the first time that the city has actually paid anything to the Marshall Public Schools for the use of that building.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you, Director Williams, for that information, and you answered part of my question when you answered Councilwoman Brown's question. But what I would like to know is, you mentioned possible future activities, the youth basketball, the flag football, the volleyball, the video tournament. How will the decision be made with regard to which, because I'm sure with the excess, it won't cover all of these programs that you mentioned. How will the decision be made as to which programs will be offered? And will it include any children, or will it be made among your staff? Or can you just tell me what you're thinking in that regard is?
Really, that's a question that I really can't answer. What I'd like to do really is to have a little more input from the community. So we've talked about possible ways of including the community in some of those decisions that's to be made. One of the biggest problems that in Albion, in terms of offering programs, is getting information out to people. We've tried numerous things to get information out. We use the schools, we use the blasts, we send flyers home, we email, we Facebook, but that still remains a problematic area because we can't get the participation levels that we want. And without participation numbers, the revenue doesn't come in. So it's kind of, we're trying to balance things. But more specifically, to get to your question, I think that we just don't randomly pick programs. I know that there are some programs that have been successful with other people. So I think with the increase in our program expenses, I will be able to subcontract with other people, with other organizations, to allow them to do what they do best. We don't have equipment to, for instance, we don't have equipment to run video game tournaments. But there's an individual in the city who is very successful in doing that. So I think we could utilize funds to subcontract with that person to offer those types of activities to our young people.
Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just got one question, and you can help me or correct me if I'm wrong. In the past years, we've used the Build Albion Fellows, which they have to do community service, so that was a free service to us. Have we checked into that to help with our recreation budget, or why did we get rid of that?
We have utilized the Build Albion Fellows. This past summer, we did not use them in our summer, in our Peapod and Summer Greens program. There was a dispute, a last-minute dispute, which caused me to go in a different direction so that our program could be operated on time. And it's funny how it turned out, because we actually ended up with more experienced people. It cost us, but I think our kids benefited by having more experienced people working with them. So.
Okay, thank you. And may I call a privilege after work?
Any other comments? Questions? Thank you, Mr. Williams. I appreciate it very much. You have something else?
Yeah, I do. Just to kind of bring you up to date, on December 21st, we'll be hosting a Albion Christmas Family Fun Night at the community center from 5 to 9. This is a collaboration between Playwright Basketball Academy, the Gentlemen's Club, as well as Harrington School. What we're hoping to do is to have host a fun night for approximately 200 families. Last year it went over very well, so we decided that we wanted to do it again and also to expand it. None of that money comes out of the recreation budget, through donations and sponsorships. So I'd just like to say that one of the things that the Recreation Department has tried to do, and we've been forced to do it really, is to make our programs pretty much pay for themselves. There hasn't been a lot of money to do other things, so we've tried to be creative, but most of our programs pay for themselves, or there's very little extra to do a lot of things that we really like to do, but we do the best that we can with what we have.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I would just like to say that Mr. Williams also attends our department head meetings. He's also a part of our administrative team. He's also aware of the cross-training things that we're doing in each one of our departments. One last thing I want to share with this council is that in light of trying to bring some uniformity throughout the city, I think you all need to understand that you've given up a lot of your power as a council due to all of our subsidiary committees and boards and organizations. This is the city of Albion, and everything needs to come here, and all of these other organizations make decisions for this council and then ask for this council to approve the decision that they've made. Really, in Oz, really should be a recommendation from these boards and committees, and then ask for approval from this council. So, in light of what one of the previous city council asked about me regarding training, I would like to ask that this council really look toward training so that we can know specifically what our duties are. And I'm not talking just the new council members, I'm saying as a whole, because we have a lot of boards and committees that come to us with information that pretty much says, our board decided this is our budget. Our board decided we're purchasing this building. And honestly, as Mr. Meade stated at our last meeting when we talked about the budget, my staff handles their money. Our staff handles a lot of money of some of the subsidiary organizations in this community, and that's not part of city government. So I think we really need to understand the purpose of city government and what we need to do. So I will be willing to ensure that we can have someone from MML possibly come, and hopefully it will be free training, because any subsidiary board, organization, or commission that utilize the City of Albion's tax ID number needs to report to the City of Albion City Council, because the individuals on this council have been elected to ensure that the city's funds are being utilized properly. And unfortunately, Mr. Meade is not the accountant for the entire city, but the City of Albion. So I would just want to make sure we be aware of those things, and if you have questions, you can give me an email and I'll be willing to answer them. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? All right. Well, I thank everybody for turning out tonight and stepping forward and making comments. It's not always easy to do that, and I will give due consideration to all of your feedback, and I do sincerely appreciate you coming here and speaking up. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
You have mayor and council member comments.
I didn't think you had comments. Do you have comments?
I'm sorry.
My apologies. Councilmember Reed.
I would like to have comments because a lot of you that I see here tonight, I did not see here at the meeting where everyone assumed what happened. But I happened to be here. And I was getting up to leave, and as I was getting up to leave, right where Mrs. Bogan is sitting is where Mrs. Dysart is sitting. Right behind on that second row was where Mr. Atchison was sitting. He got up. She was sitting on the other side of him. He got up, walked around, and went this way to go out past where Mrs. Bogan is sitting. Okay? I saw as Alfreda's Mrs. Dysart started saying things to him. And so then when I heard her say, yeah, and then she started hollering, you're in my space, you're in my space. Get out of my space, get out of my space. And Mrs. Sonia she was standing right there at the corner, she and Jeanette talking. And she said, oh, what's going on? I went around her and went over there. I got Dave by the arm. Oh, yeah, I got Dave by the arm, and I told him, keep walking, keep walking. I said, just keep walking. Then she turned to me, and she said, and you, Lynn Reed, she said, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You've been married 3 times. And I told her, well, yeah, yes, you did. Yes, you did. And I said to her, I said, yep. I said, and I have children, and all of them are legal. Can you say the same?
Okay.
And I took that. Isn't that true? Oh,
okay.
Yes, anybody who was here
Councilmember
heard
Reed.
that.
Councilmember Reed, please.
I know. I'm going to let it go, but she knows.
Okay.
Be the Christian you were. She knows what she did. Yes. And so it wasn't him. He's trying to leave. When she
Councilmember
started
Brown.
hollering,
and then holler at me. Thank you. So I didn't want to have to go here, but I'm gonna keep it real short. I'm gonna go now. So, listen, I'm not gonna pretend like I was close enough to them to hear anything, because I was standing over here. Sister Drake was right where Miss Bogan is. Atchison and Levada was behind in the second. They were on the end where my mom and Miss Davis are now. I saw he was yelling at Mayor Brown, so he was clearly perturbed at the end of the meeting. He was upset. He got up, he was yelling at Mayor Brown. He exited out the room and stopped. Miss Drake did not block his way. He should have kept. I got the floor. Thank you. She did not block him. She did not stand in front of him. He stopped in front of her, and I clearly heard her yell, as did everybody in this room, that she felt threatened. That was the first thing she said. Yes, she did. And then she asked him to get out of her face more than one time. You're right. Councilmember Spicer and I were at the end, and when I heard her yell, I'm like, what's going on? Ms. Reed, you about knocked me down trying to get over there.
Because
I have the floor. You almost physically knocked me down to rush over there. I went behind you. When we got there to them, you did grab Mr. Atchison and said, come on, Dave, and you ushered him out. And Sister Drake said, Miss Reed, you ought to be ashamed. And you said, you ought to be ashamed. Now, there was more said, but I'm not going to go into y'all. That was your personal business. But I will say, she didn't say nothing about you being married 3 times. And no, she didn't. And I didn't hear you say not one word.
Okay, Councilmember Brown has the floor. Please finish, and then we'll have Councilmember
I did not
Spicer.
hear you say one word. I looked at you because I just couldn't believe what I was witnessing. But I will say this, Mr. Atchison, you are the mayor, and you are serving within that capacity. And as a member of council, we will be working together. I wish to bring this community together. I also have to say to you, sir, I'm a woman. I'll be very honest, I have been abused. I have been in situations where I felt my physical safety was in jeopardy. And to see Sister Drake stand there and say, I feel threatened, and to ask you to get out of her face more than one time, and to see you continue to stand there was disgusting. It was disgusting. It was disheartening. I was in shock. Now, I can't speak to what your intentions were, but I can say from what I saw, I was appalled. And I would be negligent not to mention how appalled I am in what I saw tonight with your interaction with Ms. Rufus. I felt that was very unprofessional and inappropriate. She has a right as a city manager to ask council, please don't compare me to anybody. And for you to scold her or attempt to cut her off, it's not right, sir. So I'm going to ask that you please take a look, take a step back. I mean, you have to interact with everybody. You represent this entire community, sir. So how do we address it? Because we can't just act like it didn't happen. How do we address it, sir, make things right, and move forward? We have work to do in the city, and we don't need distractions. You know, nobody wants to attack your character, but you need to be held responsible, sir, for the choice you made to not keep walking out that door, because that's all you had to do.
So now.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Am I able to have some comments?
You will hear in a minute. Councilmember
Sorry, I
Spicer.
didn't know when line I was.
Am I?
Yes.
Thank you. I think that we can, the mayor is here. And I've heard other people stand up and give their version and say what they saw, but he's here. He has a voice. He has not said one time what happened or even apologized. So I think we can move forward. If he speaks for himself, or if he says, I'm going to get back, I'm going to think about this and get back to this, whatever. You need you to say something talking and stop letting other people speak for you. Thank you.
Councilmember Williamson.
Sure you don't want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, I've never been so thankful to miss a meeting than I was to miss last Tuesday's meeting. So I have zero comment on that, really. What I did want to say tonight, having the privilege to serve the next 4 years on council with all of you, was a couple of things. First, I want to congratulate Lynn Reed and Mayor Atchison on their elections, re-election, first election to mayor. I think that's the appropriate thing to do. Elections are really hard. They are divisive. They have never been more divisive than they have in 2016 and now in 2018. And they hurt. And there are clearly many people who have been hurt in this last election in our community. And I really mean everybody. I want to talk about working together a little bit. I am making an effort and a concerted effort and a sincere effort to work with all of the council members tonight, as evidenced by my support of Councilmember Brown for Mayor Pro Tem. I think sometimes we just need to cut through the crazy and get business done. I think that's what the constituents of the 6th Precinct have asked me to do. Looking at the greater city of Albion, there have been a lot of distractions these last 2 years. There's been a lot of distraction, and there is still a crumbling building in Precinct 4 that just won't go away. Union Steel needs to be torn down. Senior housing needs to be addressed in this community. We don't have affordable or low-income senior housing for the community that's aging here, and I have not heard very much about that from any council. Sidewalks, roads, healthcare. There is a huge healthcare kind of groundswell happening in Albion with Oakland and the Albion Healthcare Alliance and the Battle Creek Community Foundation. There's a lot of work happening in those spaces, and what the city can do to continue to support that. We haven't been talking about that. We've been talking about these distractions. So, and I think that something we can all do, and I've been trying to do this over the last month, although we've been busy meeting ourselves to death in November, is taking a long look in the mirror and see where each of us have played a part in the distraction, and I will say, including myself. It all starts with me. I will tell you, I have looked and said, well, you could have done a little bit better there, or that probably wasn't the right thing to say, or that wasn't the right action to take. And I think that everybody needs to do that and needs to come to the December 17th meeting ready to own that and to move forward from that, because unless we all look at how we can each do better, this body is just going to crumble. So I do want to say that I appreciate City Manager Rufus's talk about training. I was going to make a specific request tonight in the comments that the new members especially get to go to the MML training. I believe it's held in January for new council members. I think that's important. I think while I have served on various boards and committees, school board being one of them, and know rules and things, I think that I can always learn, and this is a different body with a different set of rules, to say the least. So I want to do that. I also want to say, we talk about comparison, and I respect you not wanting to be compared to Dr. Mitchell. There's no comparison, and I mean that in the best way. Everybody's different. What I want to say is, if we want to go forward and not be compared to the previous city manager, I think that it would be best that we not compare ourselves to the previous city manager. So going forward, I would hope that you would take ownership of what you're doing moving forward, and let's not focus on things that have happened in the past. And that's what we should be expecting of our city manager to do. Not every city manager got it perfect. There have been a few that really didn't get it perfect. And there are a few that did really well and still made mistakes. You will be a great city manager. I hope that we can stop comparing ourselves to Cheryl just as much as others can stop comparing Ms. Rufus to Cheryl. The other thing is, it is clear that there's already a breakdown of communication between the mayor and the city manager, the city clerk, who all have to work together to get these agendas together and to get this body in order. And I'm not going to say this is a request. This is an expectation that there be a level that you all work together. And it is expected that you will meet with Mr. Atchison, and Mr. Atchison will meet with you, and that this will start to show productive behaviors that make this council move forward. We cannot continue to rehash all of these problems every 2 weeks or every special meeting. So it is going to take, and I also want to say, I love a written report, and I know that nobody else is going to agree with me on council, but it would be nice to get your narration of the city events and what you're doing, because you spent a lot of time during the presentations and the different action items explaining everything, and it would give us, before coming here, a sense of what's going on, if we had something in our hands. And I think maybe you're not open to that, but I hope you will become open to that, because I would never be able to tell my boss I wasn't going to do something. And so that's just, I think that's going to come up, and I hope that you might be flexible in doing that. So I really wish you the best in your position. I am really excited to see what you can do in Albion. I want to be a support to you all the way. And then finally, I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited for the 6th Precinct to put me here. I hope that I can help make the city better. Just one step at a time. This is a really rough meeting, and I hope that we don't have to do this again. Thank you.
Okay. In light of the fact that it's getting late, I'm going to keep my comments very brief and succinct. I will reiterate that I do sincerely appreciate people that stood up, had something to say, spoke their mind. I took a position this evening to be as flexible and lenient with time, audience interaction, just because of the environment that we're in and the nature. I think a lot of this is perception. And so I will say that, again, I want to keep this very brief and succinct. In no way did I attempt to intimidate anybody. I stopped and let you speak and made some very benign responses. Apparently that wasn't what you needed to hear and what you didn't need to see. So be it. As far as cutting you off, my intent was, maybe that was misinterpreted, okay? My meaning was, that's what my intent was, and if it was misinterpreted, there was no intent to intimidate or insult anybody, okay? So, City Manager Rufus, I'm going to echo what Councilmember Williamson said, is I'm not comparing you to Dr. Mitchell, and I want to move forward and work with you, okay? And that was my intent, was to, okay, let's move on to something else, okay? And so if you took it, if it came across the wrong way, if it was clumsy, well, apologies for that. I am looking forward to work with you and every council member to do the city's business and find common ground. And we now have the council rules approved. They specify Wednesday as our typical day to meet. I think that's what we should stick to. We'll pick a time. Let me finish. We'll pick a time frame that works. If this week doesn't work on Wednesday, then I would suggest Tuesday. But we'll work that out.
Okay, no problem.
All right. And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Support.
Okay. Move supported. Meeting's adjourned. Oh, thank you.